I remember someone in our camp died overnight, a 76-year-old man.
When I give out medicine, I can only give enough for a few days, 3 to 5 days maximum.
We've grown used to the struggle, but all I really want is to go back to my village.
Over 3 million people have been internally displaced in Myanmar since the coup, according to the UN. Sagaing region has some of the most vulnerable IDPs, displaced many times and unable to get access to healthcare. Hello and welcome to Do'athan, a weekly podcast about human rights stories from Myanmar. It's brought to you by Fondation Hirondelle. This episode is produced by a Frontier Myanmar journalist. Names and voices may have been changed to protect contributors.
My dad was healthy before, but he got TB after living with so many people as a displaced person. He's been on TB meds for about 4 months now.
Zinmar's 66-year-old father is suffering from tuberculosis, or TB. Her family are traditional farmers from a village in Depayin Township, Sagaing region. They had to flee their home in August during the battle for Depayin town. Resistance soldiers captured it, but regime forces have responded with airstrikes as well as raids on surrounding villages to try and recapture it. Since the military coup, Zinmar and her family have been displaced so many times that she's lost count. Their house was torched by regime forces in 2022, and they've been on the move since then. And in a previous IDP camp, her father caught TB. Her mother has a bone condition which gets worse in the cold. Now the family of 6 are living in a monastery building, sleeping on a cold floor, along with about 100 other people.
It's not okay at all. We have to sleep on the floor, and he started coughing again. Living with others is nothing like being in your own home, and when you're sick, you just want to be in your own place.
Sagaing region accounts for about 2/5 of over 3 million people displaced nationwide since the coup, according to the UN. Fighting has been fierce here, resulting in a patchwork of territories and roads controlled by the military or different resistance forces. That also means that access to medicine and healthcare is virtually impossible due to security issues, transportation difficulties, and blockades by regime forces. 23-year-old Zinmar struggles to get her father's TB medicine, ordering 2 weeks' worth from Mandalay and having to place orders a week in advance.
I can't go there in person, so I left his medical records with a courier. I'm paying them to bring his meds here by car. Even though the meds are free, it's still expensive this way.
The IDPs in this area are housed in schools and monasteries, living close to many other people and sharing a few bathrooms. Most of them have irregular meals. All of this leads to health problems. Mapu is a healthcare worker who joined the Civil Disobedience Movement, or CDM, after the coup. She's trying to take care of the IDPs around her.
Patients need to take medicines related to stomach aches due to their irregular diet. Those medicines often run out. And we need medicines and oral rehydration salts for children to treat things like diarrhea and dengue fever. Nutritional supplements are sometimes needed for adults to sleep well regularly. Then, medicine for balancing blood pressure and diabetes blood sugar levels are needed for people with chronic conditions.
But Mapu has a limited supply of medicines. She was also displaced by this recent fighting and could only bring a few stocks with her.
When I give out medicine, I can only give enough for a few days, 3 to 5 days maximum, to give them some temporary relief. There just isn't enough to go around, and I have to save some for emergencies.
As for life-threatening emergencies, timely treatment is nearly impossible. There's a mobile clinic, but IDPs told us it was quite far away. And if they wanted to go to a city hospital, they'd have to pass through many checkpoints on both sides and run the risk of getting caught in a new battle en route. Roads are rough, especially in the rainy season, and transportation costs are high. Mamon, another IDP in the camp, has witnessed many people falling ill and even dying for lack of help.
I remember someone in our camp died overnight, a 76-year-old man. He had a stroke around midnight. He was just lying there on the floor. If he had made it to the hospital in Moniwa, he might have survived, but there was no way to get him there in time.
Mamon is at the camp with her father, sister, and 12-year-old son. She and her sister are both CDM teachers, but Mamon is helping out with cooking duties at the camp. The family have shaken off minor ailments, but they're still stressed and often anxious. The front line is only 5 kilometers away.
I haven't slept well since I left home, always staying alert in case I need to run during the night. The adults are all acting strange from lack of sleep.
Since the fighting in Depayin began in mid-August, over 40,000 people from 18 villages and the town have fled their homes. That's according to Go Naung Yo, an official in the Sagaing Public Network, a humanitarian group, and a member of the Garuda Resistance Force. Many of these have returned to their homes, but a few thousand still remain displaced. They're too afraid to return because of the risk of airstrikes and ground attacks from the regime. And each fresh attack brings new displaced people. Garuda is providing some food, and community groups in host villages are also helping. Go Naung Yo says resistance groups depend on the support of local people.
Capturing the cities is only possible because of the support of the people. They're backing us, so we have to give back and help them too. There's a balance between us. We depend on each other. The public and the resistance forces are like water and fish.
Currently, most IDPs are living on beans, dried fish and vegetables. But regime roadblocks and the wet weather make it hard to bring in more food supplies. The host villages won't be able to continue supporting these IDPs indefinitely. Go Naung Yo says long-term food support is urgently needed.
Since it's the rainy season, transportation is a mess, and prices for everything have shot up. With the displacement dragging on, people are really struggling to get basic things like rice, oil, and salt. Some people go back during the day to pick peanuts from nearby villages or tend to their fields. They're afraid their crops will spoil if they leave them unattended. But it's hard right now for people to find ways to make a living.
It's difficult for the IDPs to plan their next move in such volatile conditions. But Mamon is thinking about moving to another village, where at least she and her sister can earn a living as teachers. Zinmar, who's been on the move for 3 years as an IDP, just wants to go home. Her house may no longer be there, but the land remains. If there's ever an end to her current life of worry about attacks, raids or airstrikes, she just wants to be allowed to farm in peace.
It feels like it can't get worse. We've grown used to the struggle, but all I really want is to go back to my village. It would bring me peace to live in my own place again, no matter what it's made of, even if it's just a tent. I just want to get back to my life and do my own business.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Dothan. We'd welcome your feedback on social media. And please follow or subscribe to our pages. This project on human rights reporting is supported by Fondation Hirondelle with the help of our donors. You can listen to our podcasts via the Dothan Facebook page. They can also be found on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify and Telegram. You can also listen every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. and Sunday morning from 6 to 7 a.m. on Voice of America Radio. Please tune in again next week.